In the heart of Enugu, a fast-growing city where red earth met the shine of modern high-rises and noisy tricycles zipped past mansions, lived Chief Obinna Nwosu, a man admired across southeastern Nigeria. He was the proud owner of Obitech Electronics, a chain of successful electronics stores that lined the major roads from Ogui Road to Abakpa. His home in Independence Layout was nothing short of a palace, complete with white columns, imported marble tiles, and an entourage of domestic staff. His wife, Ngozi Nwosu, was the crown jewel of the estate, beautiful, kind, graceful, and deeply loved by everyone. Though they had no children after 9 years of marriage, they remained united in love and prayer, believing that God's time is the best. Life in the Nwosu mansion was orderly until the day Amaka, a young maid from a village near Nsaka, arrived. She had been hired through a distant family connection and came with glowing recommendations. Slim, light-skinned, and seemingly meek, Amaka wore humility like a veil. She always greeted with bent knees, cleaned the house until it sparkled, and carried herself with calculated innocence. However, beneath her calm demeanor was a heart filled with envy and desire. From the moment she saw Chief Obinna's tall frame, his commanding presence, and how people respected him, her heart longed not to serve him, but to possess him. Amaka's intentions were not harmless infatuation. She was determined. Day by day, she began to insert herself into the chief's routine. She memorized his food preferences, ensured his clothes were neatly ironed, and even started making special soups she claimed were from her village. Madam Ngozi initially praised her, seeing her as a blessing. But Amaka's true plan was only beginning to unfold. She sought out a herbalist, a well-known man in a secluded part of the state, feared for his dark powers. With trembling hands but a hardened heart, she was given two things: a love potion to make Obinna fall deeply under her spell, and a spiritual poison, meant to gradually destroy Ngozi from within without physical trace. A week later, the unsuspecting Ngozi began to feel unwell. It started with stomach cramps and fatigue. Doctors ran multiple tests, but nothing concrete showed up. She was given vitamins, pain relievers, and told to rest. But her condition worsened. Within days, she became bedridden, losing weight and crying out in pain at night. Amaka, ever present, pretended to care, bringing her meals and whispering comforting words. One morning, Ngozi went for a brief walk in the garden with the help of a nurse. She suddenly clutched her stomach, collapsed on the flower bed, and gave up the ghost before help could arrive. Her death shook the household and devastated the community. Tears flowed like rivers. Amaka wept the loudest, clutching her wrapper and rolling on the floor. No one suspected her. With Madam Ngozi gone, Amaka's next phase began. Quietly, she began to serve Chief Obinna only personally. She cooked all his meals, ensuring that every plate of food or cup of tea had a sprinkle of the love charm. At first, the chief was just appreciative. But slowly, his demeanor began to change. He looked at her longer than necessary. He began to compliment her, offering her lifts in his car, and later, asking her to sit with him while he ate. His family noticed the strange behavior but chalked it up to grief. However, it was far more sinister. The charms had begun to take effect. After 3 months, Chief Obinna made a shocking announcement: he planned to marry Amaka. The family was stunned. His elder sister, Auntie Ifeoma, led the opposition. "You want to marry a common maid? The same girl who served your wife? Obinna, are you mad?" But her words fell on deaf ears. Obinna dismissed them, saying, "She stood by me when others left. She's the only one who understands me." People whispered in town, tongues wagged. Some suggested he was in mourning and confused. Others, especially elders, began to suspect jazz, juju. Despite the backlash, Chief Obinna went ahead with a small traditional wedding. The ceremony, held in secret at Amaka's village, was attended only by a few loyal staff and friends who didn't know the full story. Family members refused to go. His businesses began to suffer from the scandal, customers started boycotting his stores, and trusted employees resigned. Still, he clung to Amaka, as if under a spell, which, indeed, he was. But marriage, built on manipulation and death, cannot last. From the start, things began to fall apart. Chief Obinna grew moodier, distant, and even violent at times. He lost his appetite, developed insomnia, and frequently claimed to see Ngozi's ghost. He would wake up in the night, drenched in sweat, screaming. He would sometimes stare into space for hours, mumbling. Amaka tried to strengthen the charm, returning to the herbalist, but it only worsened matters. The charm was decaying, and madness loomed over both of them like a dark cloud. The Nwosu family, unable to sit by and watch their brother deteriorate, decided to act. Auntie Ifeoma invited Pastor Chukwumeka, a firebrand preacher from a spirit-filled church in New Haven. They told Obinna it was just a Thanksgiving service and convinced him to attend. During the prayer session, as Pastor Chukwumeka laid his hands on him, Chief Obinna suddenly screamed and fell to the ground. He roared, shook violently, and vomited a thick, black substance that reeked of burnt herbs and decay. Congregants screamed and prayed louder. Then, suddenly, he went still. When he opened his eyes, the fog had lifted. Where am I?" he asked. "Where is my wife, Ngozi?" The family burst into tears. He was free. Upon returning home, Amaka ran to him with joy, expecting a warm embrace. But Obinna stepped back. His eyes were clear now, filled with anger and horror. "What did you do to me?" he shouted. Amaka began to beg and cry, but something had already shifted inside her. She grabbed her head, screamed, and began to speak gibberish. Her eyes turned wild. She tore her clothes, ran out into the compound, laughing hysterically and rolling on the ground. Neighbors gathered, stunned. She shouted, "He is mine. Obinna is mine. I killed her for him." Her confession shocked the crowd. That evening, she was taken by force to a psychiatric facility. Doctors examined her, but they shook their heads. Her case was beyond medicine. The nurses said she refused food and would sometimes sing lullabies in unknown tongues, claiming she was married to a spirit. Chief Obinna never remarried. He poured his resources into charity and built a foundation in Ngozi's name, dedicated to helping widows, orphans, and victims of domestic abuse. His businesses recovered slowly, but he never returned to the mansion. He lived in a quiet bungalow near his church, devoting himself to prayer and penance. To this day, residents of Enugu still speak of Amaka the Maid. Some say they hear her voice at night, singing from the hospital behind the psychiatric ward walls. Others claim to see her shadow roaming near the graveyard where Madam Ngozi rests.